Uh, so starting now. Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this special fireside chat on the role of women in storytelling. I'm extremely sorry for starting this session much beyond the normal starting time that we had given. Uh, Now, coming to storytelling, our first introduction to stories and fables have most likely been our grandmothers and our mothers in our childhood days. They would enthrall us and take us to totally different worlds with their vibrant narratives. A quick search on Google reveals the scores of women who have been enriching the scope of content through their films, plays, web series over the years, from Fatima Begum to Sai Paranjpe, Aruna Raje, Aparna Sen, and the new age filmmakers like Zoya Akhtar, Rima Kagti, Rima Das, Meghna Gulzar, and so many more. To this, I would like to add another name, that of Tijan Bai, an unassuming lady, but with a powerful voice, a winning smile, and an exponent of Pandavani. I'm sure you might have seen her performing live or on one of the Doordarshan programs. Along with our two remarkable guests today, we would be exploring the world of content, storytelling, filmmaking, and also women empowerment. We will be delving into the special narratives that women storytellers have been creating and why they are so relevant in a world that we are still coming to terms with. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into these stories, and it's high time they got their moment in the sun. So, without wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege and honor to introduce and welcome two amazingly accomplished ladies who will be helming the discussions today. Please join me in welcoming film director and screenwriter Alankrita Srivastava. Hi, Alankrita. And Shrishti Behel Arya, director, international original film, Netflix India. Hi, Shrishti.
Hi.
Hi, very warm welcome. Uh, Alankrita Srivastava is an award winning feature film director and screenwriter with a penchant for telling women's stories. She likes to explore the interior world of women through her films. Alankrita has written and directed three feature films: Turning 30, Lipstick Under My Burqa, and most recently, Dolly Kitty or Wo Chamakte Sitare. Featuring Konkana Sen Sharma and Bhumi Pednikar, this film premiered at the Busan International Film Festival and has just released on Netflix. Alankrita has also co-written the series Made in Heaven and directed two episodes of the same. Currently, she is working on the post-production of Bombay Begums, a series she has created for Netflix. I would also like to add that Alankrita is a strong proponent of women's rights and gender equality. Shrishti Behel Arya, who joined Netflix in May 2018, is focused on building a diverse original film catalog with titles such as Raat Akeli Hai, Guilty, Choked, Paisa Bolta Hai, and Bulbul. Shrishti started a career with an advertising agency but soon turned into an independent producer in the Indian film industry. Some of her early productions include Angare and Bas Itna Sa Khwab Hai. She founded a creative production house called Rose Audiovisuals Private Limited, producing Hindi films including Drona and London, Paris, New York. Alongside, Shrishti also ventured into television series production and shepherded creative programming for various scripted shows such as Lipstick, Remix, Dekha Ye Khwab, and unscripted shows like Sabse Favorite Kaun and Har Dil Jo Love Karega. Shrishti has served two terms, first as treasurer and then vice president of the Producers Guild of India, and has been a co-member of the Indian Film and Television Producers Council. So let us delve straight into the topic of today, that is role of women in storytelling. Alankrita, I would like to start with you.
Yeah.
So, how are streaming services paving the way for storytellers today? And how do you see streaming as a great leveler in terms of representation?
I definitely feel like streaming services are a much more democratic space because I think like the people who are deciding as to what kind of shows and what kind of films are greenlit I think are people who are more educated in a lot of international kind of content, are also more open. A lot of the executives are women, and I think like they just have a sense of a more diverse kind of worldview and are way more inclusive. And I think that does get represented in the choices that they make. And I think also knowing that the audience, is you can have a niche audience as well on a streaming service, as opposed to like the mainstream theatrical space, which is definitely much more prohibitive and much more patriarchal and old school, where like these exhibitors and programmers and distributors, etc., hold on to much more archaic ideas of what constitutes a film that should be screened in theaters. And typically it's very, very prohibitive to actually release your film in theaters. So I think, and it's a much more traditional structure. So I think streaming services really are like a challenger to the status quo. And definitely it's a much more level playing field. And having said that, I do feel that just because streaming services are more inclusive should not be a reason for mainstream, for the theatrical space to shut their doors on more diverse stories and voices and say, no, those films should not have a theatrical release, or women should not be telling stories for the bigger screen. I just feel like we should have equality and diversity no matter what the medium, whether it is a commercial cinema or it's these streaming services. In fact, I feel like the traditional distribution structures of cinemas should learn something from streaming services about diverse forms of storytelling, and maybe that will lead to like more sort of growth and change.
Right, thank you. So, diverse forms of storytelling here. Shrishti, would you like to add to that? You heading, at the helm of one of the foremost OTT service providers in India. So, how do you see Netflix being paving the way for women storytellers?
Look, it's just great business, right, to have diverse voices available because people like to see themselves identified on screen. They like to have stories either so fantastical, something that they could never live with, or having a vision into somebody's world which they could not have imagined, or then seeing themselves represented. So, if you're talking about 50% of the population of the world, why should their stories not be told up front and center alongside everybody's? So I think that's the way to look at it. And also, like, we have fantastically talented female creators coming forward to tell their stories, not just about women, but also from the point of view of women and their lens and the female gaze, if you may, which helps to enrich all of us with a different point of view of storytelling always. So it just makes sense.
That's great. Now, moving on to the next question. Alankrita, we've seen such strong representation of, the inner thoughts of women, which are not, which don't exactly find a voice in a lot of stories about women, told, even in mainstream media or other media. So, could you tell us a bit about your way, your brand of storytelling, for women, of women, and by women? What kind of stories that you look to tell? What really move you, and you say that no, this story needs to be told.
So I think for me, I feel like making a film is like, you really have to pour your or even making a series, you have to pour your heart and life and sort of passion into it. So for me, I think it's very important that I really identify with the story that I'm telling. I really feel for the characters, and it really needs to come from a very deep and honest place. And therefore I feel that it's not like I've planned that, okay, now I'm going to just, you know, think about the interior worlds of women and what are their thoughts, and those are stories I'm going to tell. It's very instinctive and natural to me, because those are the stories I'm interested in. I love I love reading a lot of literature which is like literary fiction written by and about women. I've had a very strong influence of women, around me all the time, the kind of education I've had. So I think all of that has led me to be more interested in a certain kind of story, and also where I feel I have something to bring to the table, because I'm very clear I'm not very interested in propagating the status quo. You know, I'm not very interested in the story of like a cisgender heterosexual man who's just like has everything. For me, that's not so interesting. So I think it's about what interests you, and I do feel that having said that, that's what interests me. So those are the kind of films I make, and the kind of stories I tell. But having said that, I don't think that there should be a burden upon women that they should only be telling stories about women. I think just like we never ask a male filmmaker, oh, you're making stories only about men, or are you making, like, why are you making a story about a woman? I think the same kind of freedom should be there for all female filmmakers as well, that please we let us tell the stories that move us. And all women storytellers are not the same, and different things move them, different genres are interesting to them, different characters are exciting to them. And I think that that's it's not one like whole and everyone should do the same thing. I think it's about everyone's unique voice finding space. And what Srishti shared, it's not just about female protagonists, it's about the gaze, it's about the point of view, it's even how women look at maybe a very male space, so it's really about having the space to do that, and not confining women storytellers into any and pigeonholing them into any particular sort of genre. And also not then questioning people because I also get that question very often. Oh, so you only want to tell stories about women? So you can never win one way or the other. But I think that as filmmakers, one should do ideally, like, stuff that one finds interesting and fascinating. And when you feel like there's something, something that you can really add value in your own unique way.
Uh, okay, am I audible? I think, okay. Sorry about that. There is some electricity issue at my place. So you're seeing these blue dots on the screen. Really sorry about that. Shrishti, now you are in charge of building the diverse original film catalog at Netflix. So how do you select the stories? How do you, build up this catalog and bring it stories that really move people and that go beyond just, maybe having famous names in it, or famous names behind it? How do you go about building your film catalog at Netflix?
I'd say with a lot of help from the creators like Alankita. We are always just looking for storytellers, for creators who want to come to us and, who are so compelled to tell a story that people will kind of join up with it. I think that streaming has enabled a great kind of democratization of content, and allows everybody to come out there and speak to who they want to speak to and say what they have to. So having said that, I think the way that we look at things in Netflix is that we want to have your next favorite piece of content on the service, and everybody has different favorites at different times of their life, and at different moments in their life, so to speak. So we are looking for like really diverse pieces of content that suit every mood, but at the same time, they have to be the best at what they're trying to say and what they're trying to do. But then that brings us back again to having to lean on our creators to come out there with stories that they feel are authentic, and stories that they, that must be told and be true to the world that they belong. But when we talk about authenticity, or we're talking about belonging to a world, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is in the current contemporary world, or the real is only the real as you and I know. Given that we're global and we're talking to people around the world at all times, across, when we launch an original show, it launches across 190 countries at the same moment. that it launches, and which is really interesting because we put stuff out at around 12:30 in the afternoon here, which is the one time when the whole world has the same date, you know, given all the time differences. So we are looking to find the right, to match the right piece of content with the right audience. And that's all that we keep in mind, is to make sure that if it is up to what you like, it's the best possible piece of content that you can get for that frame of mind, for that mood that you're in, and for that story that you're looking for. Sorry, you're on mute, Shanta.
Okay. So democratizing storytelling, we've learned about now. When you also bring in a lot of global stories onto the Netflix's portfolio. So what kind of universal stories that you're seeing emerging, from around across the world? That transcend all boundaries, all geographical boundaries, even probably language barriers. What kind of universal stories that you are seeing emerging, especially in the new normal in this stage?
What's been really encouraging is that India has been open to seeing a lot of content that is not local language, and at the same time is not just English. But the kind of excitement that we've seen around La Casa de Papel, which is Money Heist, or the kind of interest that we've seen even in Dark, or Kingdom, all those kind of shows show us that the people are willing to find out about different things at different times and not be intimidated by the language of origin. And that's something that we're very encouraged to see, that when our filmmakers in India are putting out content in Hindi language, or any of our licensed content that comes in Tamil or Telugu or any of the other 11 languages that we're talking to right now, that people are actually trying it out for what it's worth, globally as well. And that just kind of exposes you to the power of storytelling. And when something comes from a filmmaker in its truest authentic form, it finds an audience irrespective of the country of origin, irrespective of the language that it's built in. So that's been very, very encouraging, because that is one of the things that as Netflix we do believe in, that making sure that the content is available for whoever wants to watch it in whatever form that they want to watch it, with subtitles, with dubs, in any way that they would want to be exposed to that story, and hopefully build this empathy across the world for diversity, and not just being stuck to one kind of person or one kind of story.
Right. Alankrita, in your view, how do you see streaming services such as Netflix, help representation on screen and behind the screen as well?
I definitely, like I said even earlier, I feel, the streaming services are definitely a challenger to the status quo. And, just going back a little bit into the systems that have been functioning in India, we have had a culture of cinema which has been very male. It's really been shaped by the male point of view, people behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. Stories are largely around male protagonists, and therefore the whole economics and the whole system has been centered around the male hero. So those are the films that get more budgets, there's more marketing done for them, those are the films that have it easier at the distribution level, and that becomes, and because that's a system that is often used against films which are smaller, more experimental, with alternative points of view, with protagonists who are not necessarily male heterosexuals, as an argument that those other films are not going to get that money back for whoever's investing and for the distributors. Whereas the problem is actually much deeper and more systemic, because if all the resources have been put into a certain kind of point of view and a certain kind of cinema, then obviously the audience is only used to watching that. So I also, and so then to blame alternative points of view and say they're not marketable, I feel is not looking at the problem correctly. And that's where I feel like streaming services have been amazing, because I also feel even the fact that in the last few years we've seen cinema change a little bit, mainstream cinema change. I think it's because audiences have had access to streaming platforms, and that has opened them up in a way that even the films they're watching in theaters, I think they've become more open to the kind of stuff that can be watched. And definitely there's the other issue of censorship, because like it's very difficult if you want to make a film, um, from a very clearly female point of view, as I experienced during Lipstick when my film was banned, or if you want to make a film which is, really delves deeply into an LGBTQI space, because, that censorship is going to kind of stop you. So I think there is that much more freedom to express yourself as an artist in a space where you're not thinking about whether this is going to be passed or not, and also where you're not going to be judged for, oh, like this is not commercially viable. But so I think from those points of view, I think we haven't even yet, I feel, understood how much the space has opened up through streaming services for really different kinds of storytelling. So definitely I think it's, and also I feel even in terms of economics, like smaller films, more independent films were never so you had to just depend on your theatrical release, whatever money you got from the theatrical release. Even television channels would not buy those smaller films. So basically any producer to invest in a smaller, slightly more experimental, alternative point of view kind of a film was already at a huge risk. With streaming platforms, even if they're not releasing directly on the streaming platform, the fact that a film can, even if it has a small release in the theater and then it goes to the streaming platform, still eventually the streaming platform is what is making that film viable. Because at least, so like a Netflix will buy a film like that, like they bought, so I think the economics have changed, and I think economics is very key to storytelling, simply
Right.
because in this field it's not like making a painting that's just you and your canvas. It's expensive, so you need systemic change to actually see that kind of opening up. And I think this is just the beginning. I think we're going to see a lot of change. But I feel it's so exciting that we had a film like Sony come out on Netflix last year. It's such a beautiful film, and I really wonder like, and then there's Bin Bulbul and Cargo. So I just feel there is a lot of like interesting stuff coming out, and all thanks to people like Shrishti.
Right. So, do you see the OTT platforms emerging as an alternate marketplace for the experimental filmmakers, the smaller filmmakers? Do you think OTT platforms can give that kind of challenge to mainstream cinema, where it will be, really economically viable?
I must say, in terms of thought process, it's already a challenger. Like, I did a show called Made in Heaven, and I just feel it challenged the status quo in so many ways. Like, the stories we're used to seeing, and I don't think that that could have ever been a film that would have, at that point in time, maybe years later, that could have released in cinema. So in many ways, I feel that we're already seeing the platforms, streaming platforms being challenges. And I don't think at all that is just for like small experimental films. I think streaming platforms are as vast and as large and mainstream. I mean, I really like, there was Extraction, which is such a big film. There was Bird Box, which is such a big
Right.
film. There have been like shows that have done so well, whether it's Sacred Games or there was Patalo. So I just feel that I don't think that it's we even have to think about it like, oh, like it's just the space for alternative. I think it's I don't know, Shishti will of course know better, but just from an audience perspective, I feel it's a space where you find what you need. If I want to watch Roma, I'll watch Roma. If I want to watch Marriage Story, I'll watch Marriage Story. Somebody else might watch, like Extraction. So I just think it just depends on what you're looking for. And I really think, interestingly, that concept now I think is not there, that big budget stuff doesn't happen on streaming spaces. I must say that the bigger budget stuff I've done is all for streaming, not actually for like the bigger budgets I've got are in on the streaming platform. So I just feel that I don't think it's even that simple, that it's only for alternative and smaller films. But definitely for alternative and smaller films, it's really a boon.
Great. Shrishti, how is Netflix looking to keep India entertained? We've seen great traction happening in the entire OTT ecosystem, specifically Netflix. So, going forward, how is Netflix looking to keep India entertained? Quickly.
We're going to be looking for, all kinds of stories and find the best way of telling them. Whether it is something that needs to be told in a feature film format, whether it's a feature film that needs a song or it doesn't need some sort of songs, whether it's it's a docudrama, whether it is something that is for children, or I think one of the beautiful things about Netflix is that we try to empower our creators to tell the story in the way that it really needs to be told. So even if it's like a mini series that's restricted to 4 episodes or to 6 episodes and that's it, or it's something like, say, like Sacred Games, or like Crown, or like Stranger Things, it's something that's going to go across many seasons, and be there for the audience to tell the story and juice out like every single character and go into their point of views. So I think keeping an eye on what people are enjoying and getting feedback, and relying a lot on our creators and our consumers to keep us honest, that's the only way to kind of look at it. India is a land of storytellers, and we all grow up listening to nani and dadi's kahanis, and then we tell poems, and cinema is so big in our country that we are avid consumers. So I think the only thing that we need to be mindful of is that we need to be really honest in what we're making, and hopefully everything will find the right audience for it.
That's great. Lankrita and Shrishti, thank you very much for your time. I am extremely apologetic that we have to cut this session shorter than what we had scheduled it for. But there's so much that we can take from this session, and we would definitely want to continue this conversation in separate stories in the future. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules and participating in ScreenX. We'll definitely looking forward to interacting.